Is it even working? Okay, okay, it's working. Okay, so hey guys, this is Henry here. I am going to do a quick little lesson about solving two-step equations. Two-step equations. And you're going to see why we call them two-step equations. But before I go ahead and begin, I need to get some things out of the way first. It really helps to actually, to not to do this stuff, to understand PEMDAS first. So remember with PEMDAS, typically we go from the top, which is parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide from left to right, right? And add or subtract from left to right. However, because we are doing algebra now, we're going to have to find a way to undo all of that. So the best way to undo all of that is to start from the bottom and go up. So we're actually going to be doing adding or subtracting first, then multiplying or dividing next. So the best way, of course, to show that is you have to understand where this is obviously is order of operations. But there's also, you also have to understand something called inverse operations as well. So let me clear this out. You have to understand inverse operations. And just inverse just simply means you do the opposite. It means do the opposite. So in this case, if we have multiplying, right, the opposite of to multiply would be to divide. And you can tell, again, with PEMDAS. Now let me go ahead and write it out. PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, right? You see how multiplying and dividing are on the same side? They're actually, you can do vice versa. You can multiply or divide to undo it. Likewise, the opposite of adding is to subtract, and vice versa. Okay? Now, I don't want to get too complicated, but eventually you're going to get into square roots. So the opposite of the square root of x is x squared. Likewise, the opposite of cubic root would be x to the third power would be you take the cubic root of x. But that's when things get more and more complicated. So let's do some examples to let us know how this goes. I'm going to start by doing a pretty basic one. 4c minus 7 is equal to 17. So we're essentially saying in this problem 4 times a number I do not know minus 7 is equal to 17. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line to separate my answer from my expression. And I need to focus first on this guy right here, right? So I'm going to do the first step. I'm going to do the opposite of minus 7, which is, that means I'm going to add 7. But what I do to one side, I do the same to the other side. So that was step 1 right there. So after I do that, I bring down the 4 times c. Negative 7 plus 7 goes away. And we have 17 plus 7, which is 24. Now, the next step I have to do, and this is step 2, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 4. Means I'm going to divide by 4. But what I do to one side, I do the same to the other side. This is the second step. Step 2, I'm going to do the opposite of 4 times c, which means I'm going to divide by 4. So when I do that, in this case, goes away, and c equals 24 divided by 4, which is 6. Now the awesome thing about this is I can actually check my work. Check my work. So in this case, I'm going to take the original problem, 4c minus 7 is equal to 17. We said c is equal to 6. I'm going to replace the c with 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Minus 7 is indeed 17. So since 17 equals to 17, this is indeed the right answer. So that's pretty nice and easy. Now let's do one that may be a little bit more complicated. I'm going to do this one here. 8 plus z divided by 4 is equal to 23. So I'm basically saying 8 plus a number divided by 4. In fact, let me go ahead and write that down. 8 plus a number z divided by 4 is equal to 23. I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to see what would be the answer if I do or do not follow PEMDAS, right? So here's PEMDAS up here. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to put it down here in the bottom. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I'm going to go from the bottom going up. So I'm going to look to add or subtract first, right? So I'm going to do the opposite of adding 8, which is subtracting 8, right, on both sides. So my first step, step 1 here, I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. So when I do that, this goes away. Z divided by 4. 28 minus 3, 23 minus 8 is 15, I'm sorry. Now, I need to go ahead and focus on this guy here. So the opposite of dividing by 4 means I'm going to multiply by 4. But remember, what I do to one side, I do the same to the other side. So that was step 2. I'm going to multiply by 4. So when I do that, (15 times 4 is 60. So the answer should be 60, right? Well, let's see. If I take 60 and plug it in for z, here's where the part where I'm going to check my work. I'm going to do 8 plus z divided by 4 is equal to 23. So that's going to be 8 plus 60 divided by 4 equals 23. 60 divided by 4 is 15. So 8 plus 15 equals 23? I think so, yeah. So yeah, we did it absolutely right. Bam. The key here is to remember, if I actually had multiplied by 4, right, I would have gotten the wrong answer because, let me do another thing here. If I went ahead and did 8 plus z divided by 4 equals 23, multiply both sides by 4. So this goes away. So it'll be 8 plus z is equal to 23 times 4. I'm running out of space here, so forgive me. It's 12 rather 1, that's 92, right? And I subtract 8 from both sides, so that means that z would have been equal to 84. Right? So if I plug in z for 84, I do 84 divided by 4. So check my work right. So it'll be 8 plus 84 divided by 4, which would have been 8 plus 21, which would have actually been 29. And that is not the same thing as 23. And with that, I am going to stop. I know I probably went over my time limit, but it's okay. If you guys have any questions, please. I just did a few examples, but there's obviously way more harder ones coming up. You guys have a great night, okay? Take care. Bye.